What's going on, people? Just to give you an update, we have some new footage that just came out over the Diddy coverage, and I wanted to go over this with you guys because I typically try not to do a consistent upload of the case because I know there's way more that's going to come out. So I prefer to condense it. I think the young lady here is going to give you a pretty fair, accurate assessment of what happened yesterday. And I just wanted to kind of touch on that one. So let's get into it, shall we?
You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers.
United States versus Sean Combs, day 16. So this morning, before they brought in the first witness, there were some exhibits entered, and these were seized from a phone, Sean Combs' phone, when they raided Two Star Island. And there was nothing really attached to these exhibits, so the defense just wanted to, or I'm sorry, the government just wanted to just get them in. But these were text messages from Sean Combs to D-Rock, and the first message said something along the lines of, "Act like I am not effing with her." And we were assuming that he was talking about Cassie. And then D-Rock texted him something like, "I told everyone a fight broke out at the club. She won't tell nobody. I'll call you later." So we were shown that, and then the first witness was brought in, Frank Piazza, a forensic video expert. He's from legal and audio video. He is an official expert. He was sworn in as so. And this was some tough testimony to follow, so I'm gonna do my best. But he worked for the SDNY between 50 and 100 times, but he said he also did 75% of his work was for defense teams. So he basically testified with the government that he analyzed cell phone video and surveillance video from March 5th, 2016 at the Intercontinental Hotel. So half of the video that we've seen kind of shown chronologically has been on a cell phone, which is, I'm assuming, from Israel Flores, the one security guard, and then the surveillance cameras that are, in the corners on the ceilings of the hotel. Just as a side note, I think a lot of us are wondering how they got this surveillance footage when, I guess we were told by Garcia, etc., that it didn't exist anymore. And actually, during cross-examination, Tenny Garagos asked Piazza, how did you get the surveillance footage? And he said the government. And she said, do you know how the government got it? And he said no. So just, pointing that out. So again, essentially, he was testifying that yes, certain frames, there were 30 seconds per frame, but in this clip, only 22 were played, and this is why. It played faster, so, I fixed it through the software. I counted these frames, and I made it so that it would, the missing footage here would be aligned with the certain timestamps. So he, again, he essentially was saying this is why certain things happen. The pixelation, it happens because of X, Y, Z, but that doesn't matter because, everything that you see here is accurately depicted as to what happened that day.
Just real quick, the reason why they had him come up there in the first place was because they didn't even want to acknowledge that footage at all in the first place. Their excuse was, how do we know this is real? How do we know someone didn't alter it? It didn't make it look like what you see is actually what happened. That was the whole point.
He also said, you know, what did he say? He said there was no issues at all with the cell phone footage. That was fine. He did say that there were some issues with the surveillance, which is why he kind of was talking about, you know, why certain things jump, why they're blurred, the motion activation by the surveillance footage, and this is, you know, this is why certain times the timestamps might have been skipped, and then they had him just point out certain things that were happening in the video footage, just, you know, oh, what's happening here. And I think that was for the government to have an expert like Frank Piazza, who's dressed up in a suit, say, you know, this is where the male in the video is kicking the female in the video. This is where the male is dragging the female in the video. And they pointed out all the different angles. Like there was an angle in the lobby of the elevator, but then there was another angle that we saw in the hallway that was leading up to their room. And so the government also said, you know, we had him place these black spaces or just black, a black screen where there were places that the video was skipping, basically. So like, you know, if there was a timestamp that said, you know, 11:13, the next time we saw Diddy or Cassie, it was like 11:17, they would put a black space there so we would know that it wasn't like zoom, zoom, zoom happening all at once. Yeah, sorry. I hope you guys are following this, because believe me, I was like, am I getting all this? So when Tenny Garagos did the cross-examination, that was more about her indicating that the motion activator, and she wanted to elicit this from Frank Piazza, like, for example, that the motion activation wasn't necessarily working at all times, which is why certain things looked faster. For example, Diddy was holding a bag at one point, and I think it was Cassie's bag after he took it, and in a very split second, the bag dropped, you know, so we didn't actually see him put the bag on the ground. The next frame we saw was like the bag on the ground. So she just wanted to point that out, like, you know, well, because, and Piazza said, well, because he, you know, he wasn't moving and he was kind of in the corner, it just skipped, you know, that's why this is happening. So again, pointing out that maybe things had a bit of a 5-second difference here, you know. And she also wanted to point out that during cross, that when Cassie first came out of the hotel, there was like a 2-minute difference from when Diddy was walking back to the room with a phone or something like that. And I think that when a lot of us saw the initial video, it appeared to be faster. She wanted to point that out. Let me make sure I'm getting all of that. She also, you know, Tenny made sure to point out another point in time where Israel Flores, the security guard who came up, he appeared to be smiling and like laughing with Diddy. So Tenny was like, oh, the security guard's smiling and laughing. And I think that was the defense's way of maybe just in the moment minimizing the situation. Yeah, I mean, that was it. Again, defense wanted to point out different camera angles cause different places to skip, and this is why. But then during the redirect,
you know, in the future, to all these businesses, restaurants, hotels, just upgrade your security system, upgrade your cameras, make sure that you have regular maintenance work done on them. Just a suggestion, because like with all these cases where people get shot, or someone tries to break into somebody's home, or you got Ring cameras, you know, catching people running and this, that, and the third, you know that one of the main issues that I've always seen is that the accuracy in the picture, the quality is always poor for some reason. Like there's only, like with body cameras and certain footage where you can definitively see something with pure clarity, but most times it's always hard to make out, or something's moving too slow, or there's these little jump ins like she was just saying. Upgrade your systems and make sure that your shit is working as accurate as possible, so in case anything happens, we don't have issues like this. I don't know why this wasn't even considered before. Like seriously, why all of a sudden? No, well, I ain't even gonna say all of a sudden, but how is it that you make all this money, you have all this traffic coming to and fro, not even factoring in the number of people that travel around your location, given the conditions and lack thereof, whether or not it's a good neighborhood or not? How don't you have these things on the back of your mind? You know what I'm saying? Um, Later on in the footage, she speaks about a young lady who gave testimony, and I don't want to slaughter her name, but she was pretty much scared of Diddy. Diddy said something to her along the lines of he was a devil and he could kill her. There's another portion where she says he dangled her over a 17-story balcony. A lot of came out. I don't know how they managed to keep up with all of this shit. But shout outs to the lady here that did the coverage on it. I may do some more uploads on this in the future, but that was the sum of it. Let me know what y'all got from this in the comment section.
Merry Christmas, filthy animals. And a Happy New Year.